These are devastating scams of early 2026 that drain bank accounts in seconds using malware and SIM swapping, alongside elaborate social engineering attacks using cloned faces and phantom voices. The threat level just reached an absolute peak. Global fraud reached critical mass by February 22, 2026. Criminal syndicates abandoned traditional phishing emails entirely, and they favor weaponized artificial intelligence now. Chainalysis released startling numbers just days ago, showing thieves extracted $154 billion in illicit transactions over the 12 months of 2025 alone. Federal agencies realized the threat environment shifted overnight when major banks implemented emergency protocols last week after detecting synchronized bot swarms attacking retail checking accounts. The sheer scale of automated theft forces financial institutions to freeze legitimate transactions constantly, meaning every digital interaction now requires extreme paranoia to survive. Your smartphone turned from a communication device into a 24-hour vulnerability point, with hackers sitting in overseas server farms pulling the strings on millions of automated traps. Regular text messages changed into highly targeted psychological attacks. Scammers orchestrate large campaigns using synthetic voice generation, and deepfake incidents in the financial sector saw a 700% surge during 2023. Volume alone overwhelms local law enforcement agencies daily. Major retailers currently report over 1,000 artificial intelligence calls every single morning, meaning customer service representatives spend half their shifts fighting phantom complaints. Attackers operate from decentralized networks spread across multiple continents, targeting regular citizens using data scraped directly from social media profiles. Impersonation tactics grew by an astonishing 1,400% year over year, triggering a total collapse of traditional verification methods. Phone calls from loved ones require secondary passwords today, and relatives demand physical proof of identity during video chats. Victims lose their life savings staring directly at fabricated family members on screen, while security firms fail to patch the vulnerabilities fast enough. Fraudsters figured out how to bypass two-factor authentication entirely, and cellular carriers routinely hand over phone numbers through sheer social engineering. Physical threats merged with digital theft in terrifying new ways, with violent actors tracking cryptocurrency holders through physical locations instead of hacking their digital wallets. Financial destruction leaves families ruined in a matter of hours as we watch a coordinated assault on global banking systems happening in real time. Every transaction carries unprecedented risk right now, and entering the digital crime space requires zero technical skill anymore. Anyone with an internet connection can deploy autonomous bots to steal money, making trusting your own eyes a guarantee for financial ruin in this environment. The dark web turned into a specialized corporate marketplace for these exact tools. Criminal developers sell subscription access to phishing software for just $40 a month, providing 24-hour customer support for aspiring thieves who lack coding experience. The underground economy completely commodified identity theft, with millions of stolen data points flooding these marketplaces every single hour. Hackers compile massive dossiers on potential targets before launching a single attack, knowing your banking history and familial connections before they ever pick up the phone. The sheer volume of compromised information makes traditional security questions entirely useless. Checkpoint researchers uncovered the Truman Show investment fraud in October 2025. Their research report reveals scammers populated private messaging groups with 90 distinct artificial intelligence profiles, making victims believe they joined an exclusive trading community. Every single participant typing messages turned out to be an automated script, leading targets to download an officially listed trading app that quietly drained their savings. Isolation makes this psychological trap incredibly effective. Financial predators apply this same synthetic reality concept to retail shopping, generating stunning product photography using popular image generators. Feeds flood with advertisements for beautiful furniture that literally does not exist. Shoppers submit payment information for ghost products, and fake companies collect hundreds of thousands of dollars before disappearing entirely. One specific apparel brand vanished with $400,000 in 48 hours last week, resulting in mass confusion as credit card processors scrambled to reverse thousands of identical fraudulent charges. According to the FBI Internet Crime Complaint Center, overseas extortion protocols crossed into the United States last November. Criminals pose as federal law enforcement officials during sudden video calls, accusing targets of severe crimes and demanding an immediate digital interrogation. Captives must remain visible on their webcam for days at a time, while extortionists work in shifts to keep the victim awake and terrified. A retired doctor remained trapped under constant video surveillance for 70 consecutive hours late last year, and extreme stress ultimately caused a fatal medical emergency. This escalated the scam from theft to manslaughter. Authorities tracked these operations to massive call centers overseas, where managers monitor the extraction process closely. Perpetrators demand constant wire transfers to supposedly clear the victim's record, displaying official-sounding legal threats and forged court documents right on the screen. The terrifying reality centers on the psychological compliance of the targets, as people voluntarily lock themselves in their homes and hand over their entire net worth out of pure panic. Romance scams evolved into live, face-swapping nightmare scenarios this winter, with attackers initiating live video calls using real-time manipulation technology. A Connecticut woman transferred nearly $1 million to a romance scammer using fake investment platforms just 3 weeks ago. The criminal built trust through traditional text messaging and physical gifts before introducing her to fraudulent crypto platforms, leading investigators to realize identity thieves also generate fake credit profiles. TransUnion identified synthetic identities as the top fraud trend for 2026. Thieves stitched together legitimate identification numbers with entirely generated faces and names, nurturing these Frankenstein identities for months or years to build strong credit scores. Syndicates max out credit cards and auto loans before vanishing without a trace, leaving financial sectors to absorb massive losses while hunting literal ghosts. If tracking these evolving digital threats helps protect your family, consider subscribing to the channel right now. We constantly update our community on these exact vulnerabilities, as banking industries desperately need new verification tools to stop this specific automated bleeding. Digital security means absolutely nothing when violence enters the equation, as cybercriminals abandon complex hacking methods in favor of the $5 wrench attack. They track cryptocurrency owners to physical locations and use brute force to extract digital keys, threatening severe harm until the target surrenders their 12-word seed phrase. Physical crossovers represent a terrifying shift in the crypto underworld, where street-level criminals now operate alongside sophisticated digital thieves. Everyday physical infrastructure carries immense hidden dangers too, as fraudsters print high-quality stickers featuring malicious payment codes. Syndicates slap these over legitimate parking meters and restaurant tables, prompting drivers to scan the code to pay $4 for parking. Malicious links quietly capture their credit card details. Houston officials found altered codes on 5 parking meters during a single weekend sweep last month, and Redondo Beach officials found altered codes on 150 parking meters during a recent sweep. Thousands of commuters handed their financial data directly to overseas syndicates without realizing it, and the quiet integration into daily routines makes this specific trap almost impossible to spot visually. Modern fraud against major retailers involves zero human interaction from the attackers. Customers order expensive electronics and capture a photograph of the pristine box, and software processes that image to simulate severe shipping damage. Stores issue immediate refunds based on the hyper-realistic fake photograph, letting scammers keep the undamaged item and their money. Human fraudsters handle the dispute process entirely using manual social engineering, manually contacting customer service lines using highly targeted conversational tactics. Human scammers scream at representatives using stolen order numbers purchased from dark web marketplaces, utilizing audio software that perfectly mimics human rage and frustration. Relentless verbal assaults force exhausted workers to issue gift cards just to end the call. Retailers across the industry face a rise in these specific automated attacks, triggering a massive overhaul of return policies across the entire retail sector. Genuine shoppers face extreme friction when returning broken merchandise because trust evaporated entirely. Passwords provide zero protection against devastating new cellular carrier attacks. Criminal syndicates bypass your security completely by compromising the telecom provider directly, tricking customer service agents into transferring your phone number to a burner device. Thieves immediately trigger password resets across banking and cryptocurrency platforms, receiving intercepted authentication text messages instantly. Victims lose their cellular service and their life savings simultaneously. Address poisoning allowed attackers to drain $50 million in a single hit last quarter, presenting crypto users with equally sneaky traps. Attackers drop a fraction of a cent into a target digital wallet, placing a malicious alphanumeric string directly into the victim's transaction history. Users attempt to send funds later and copy the poisoned address from their recent activity log, authorizing the transfer and sending digital assets directly to the criminals. They soon realize blockchain transactions remain permanent and irreversible, watching stolen funds vanish into complex laundering networks over hours, days, or even months. Familial exploitation received a terrifying technological upgrade recently when criminals started extracting 3 seconds of audio from a teenager's public social media profile. Software feeds that tiny sample into a voice cloning engine to perfectly replicate the child's exact cadence, allowing automated systems to dial grandparents at 3 in the morning, simulating a panicked, crying emergency. Cloned voices beg for immediate bail money transferred via cryptocurrency, and emotional manipulation overrides any logical suspicion instantly. Meanwhile, automated text campaigns weaponize minor inconveniences against the general public, causing toll road phishing texts to spike by nearly 400% entering 2026. Drivers receive urgent messages claiming they owe $11.69 for a missed toll, accompanied by threats of a massive $50 penalty for non-payment. Incredibly low request amounts bypass normal human skepticism perfectly, allowing scammers to blast up to 2 million of these malicious payment links to drivers every single day. This resulted in a massive harvest of active credit card numbers funneled straight to dark web auction sites. Employment fraud evolved into a sophisticated video game interface this year. Victims secure simple remote jobs, rating hotels or liking online content, and dashboards track their earnings through an incredibly polished visual interface. Catches happen when workers try to withdraw their accumulated wages, as platforms demand an activation fee to unlock the next tier of tasks. People pay the upfront cost because they see thousands of dollars sitting in their fake company account. State-sponsored hackers use the corporate hiring process for international espionage, with North Korean cyber operatives routinely applying for senior engineering roles at Western technology firms. Imposters utilize high-quality video manipulation to pass complex technical interviews, securing lucrative salaries while gaining direct access to sensitive corporate networks. Security researchers identified 80 fake employees operating inside American companies late last year, meaning hostile nations secured pipelines into secure infrastructure while collecting steady paychecks. Corporate infiltration perfectly demonstrates how deception scaled beyond individual victims into national security threats. Complete collapse of visual and audio truth demands a radical shift in personal security, as you can no longer trust a voice on the phone or a face on a screen. Financial institutions recognize this existential threat and are exploring new optional biometric authentication methods for standard accounts. Traditional password systems completely failed to protect consumers from these sophisticated psychological attacks, and law enforcement agencies lack the resources to investigate crimes originating from anonymous digital nodes across the globe. The responsibility for financial protection shifted entirely to the individual citizen. Security experts advise families to establish physical safe words for emergency situations, meaning relatives calling for money must provide the prearranged code phrase immediately. Everyone must adopt a default stance of absolute suspicion for any unsolicited communication, as a single text message containing a link carries the potential for total financial ruin. Integration of advanced programming into the criminal underworld automated the theft process entirely, letting fraud rings run highly sophisticated campaigns targeting millions of individuals simultaneously without human oversight. The financial cost of these attacks will more than double before 2027, causing telecom providers to scramble to implement cryptographic signatures for verified business communications. Identity shifted from something you simply claim to something you must mathematically prove. Future phases of this crisis involve manipulated legal documents and forged property deeds, with criminals already experimenting with stealing real estate through automated title transfers. Systems designed to protect our assets rely on outdated assumptions about human interaction, requiring multiple physical locks for digital doorways now. Convenience created the exact vulnerabilities exploiting us today. Society faces a future where friction becomes a necessary feature of everyday banking, as institutions handling our money must intentionally slow down transactions to prevent automated draining. The battleground moved from the server room directly into your pocket, and engineers race to develop cryptographic watermarks to identify authentic human video feeds. Syndicates adapt their algorithms within days of any new security patch releasing, meaning we live in an era where verifying reality requires constant vigilance and technical awareness. Citizens who refuse to adapt their digital habits face guaranteed exposure to these financial predators. Survival involves slowing down and questioning absolutely everything. Your digital footprint currently serves as a treasure map for automated extortion programs, letting financial predators scrape public social media accounts to map out relationship networks. They exploit human empathy because technical firewalls became too difficult to breach. Lawmakers scramble to draft legislation classifying digital impersonation as a severe felony offense, while federal task forces struggle to establish jurisdiction over crimes routed through complex, cross-border cloud networks. The next decade requires a massive rewiring of our relationship with the internet. Convenience must take a back seat to rigorous authentication protocols, and people need to treat digital requests for money with the same extreme caution they would use in a dark alley. This digital arms race fundamentally rewrites how we trust the world around us. Keep your assets locked down, and if you value these threat breakdowns, subscribe for more.